In just 12 hours, all eyes will be on Talensi, where electorates will be voting for representatives in Parliament for the Talensi Constituency. On Saturday, the NPP accused the Electoral Commission of frustrating its efforts in winning the Talensi seat. There are also issues of no verification, no vote, but the EC has assured all is set for the Talensi Bye Election. On Sunday, all political parties wrapped up their campaigns with mammoth rallies. But there are signals some political parties are still campaigning and others engaging in vote buying. The police has also outlined an elaborate security plan to ensure smooth elections on Tuesday. So, just a few hours to the elections, we ask, has the Electoral Commission dealt with all the issues raised by the political parties? Are the political parties satisfied with preparations so far? Are we assured of a smooth by-election come Tuesday? This is today's big story. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Talensi seat held by the New Patriotic Party NPP became vacant when the MP Robert Mosori resigned after his enskinment as Tongo chief. The New Patriotic Party has accused the governing National Democratic Congress of vote buying ahead of Tuesday's elections. The NPP also accused the Electoral Commission of breaching the electoral laws for rebuffing several requests from the party for a list of the names of the EC officials who will preside over the elections, whilst blaming the police service for being biased. In all of these, the EC has come out to say, as far as they are concerned, all is well. The police also says they are busily at work to ensure an incident-free by-election. On the phone line is our East Regional Correspondent Albert Sorry to tell us more about preparation towards the Talensi election. Good evening, Albert.
Good evening.
In less than 24 hours, electors will be going to the polls to elect their preferred candidate for the Talensi seat. What is the atmosphere like in Talensi with the presence of all the major political parties?
Well, at the moment, I had to move away from the constituency back to my base to work on my accreditation. Right. But what I can tell you is that compared to the rest of the days that we saw before yesterday's rally, today has been quite a normal day. There haven't been any campaign activities, visible campaign activities. All you see is an occasional vehicle branded in party colors pass by. People, young boys who ride motorcycles, brandishing party flags and stuff like that. In the last 1 week, that has been very visible when you get to the constituency capital, which is Tongo. But today, it has drastically reduced.
We've gathered that the CPP is currently doing a house-to-house campaign. What can you say about that?
Well, the house-to-house campaigns usually are done in some communities that, if you don't happen to be there, you would most likely not come across them doing it. So I haven't seen them. I cannot exactly speak to it.
The police has also assured us of tight security. But what can you say about security in the area now?
Yes, yesterday there were 2 roadblocks on the road that links Winkungu, where the NPP had their rally, and then Tongo, where the NDC had theirs. Now today those roadblocks have been taken away, but you still find police patrols, hovering within the township of Tongo and some other areas in the constituency. So security is very visible.
And have you been gauging the mood of the electorate? What have they been telling you?
Yes, the electorates, but, a lot of people, if you look at the rallies that were held yesterday, for example, it gives you the impression that the election is becoming a two-horse race between the NDC and the MPP. That sort of reflected in the interviews that I did with some of the voters. You find almost an equal number between the NDC and the MPP. Everyone saying, I'm going to vote for NDC. Somebody is also saying, I'm going to vote for MPP. But there are some who have said that they have not made their decision. They are yet to decide which party they are going to vote for, because they haven't made up their minds. In fact, there was a lady who told me that for her, she is going to vote for the smaller parties because the NDC has held the Talensi constituency, so has the MPP. And for her, she has not seen exactly what has changed. And so she is comfortable voting for the smaller party.
There have been accusations of vote buying, both from the NPP camp and the NDC camp. Have you gathered anything of that sort?
Well, these are all accusations that they are making. But for me, moving around in the constituency, there aren't people who would readily tell you that, yes, I have been giving this and I have taken it. So I haven't been able to get someone who has said confidently that so-and-so has given me this in order to get me to vote for them. But as far as the accusations go, they are still ongoing in the constituency.
So how about the candidates themselves? What have they been saying to the electorate?
Now, the candidates, for them, what they usually do would be to speak in their local language. I think is their way of making the people understand that they are part of them. And so the general message or the general thing you find all of them saying is that, I am one of you, I understand your problems, and I think I am the one who will be able to, take your problems to Parliament and get you development. This is the kind of message that is going round as far as all the candidates who are contesting in this election are concerned.
Let's look at dignitaries around now. I know on Sunday, before they wrapped up rallies, the president himself was there in support of the NDC candidate. I know the NPP flag bearer has also been around. What dignitaries, who are those around now waiting for the voting tomorrow?
Well, because there haven't been any major political parties, political activities, you don't see them as you usually would. Okay. But I have seen Gabi Ocheredakun, I can say, for the MPP. And then for the NDC, the regional minister and some other, NDC stalwarts have been in town. Today, they seem to be on the quiet. Maybe they are all doing the door-to-door campaign, so you don't see them visibly in town. But my understanding is that a lot of them are still in town and waiting to, see their parties through the election tomorrow.
So in checking the atmosphere and looking around preparations and everything, let's look at what can you say? Would you also say that all is set for the elections?
Yes, all is set. Earlier, a while ago, I spoke to the EC regional chairman, and he said that they don't have any problem. The voting is expected to start from 7 a.m. and end at 5 p.m. But what he said was that after 5 p.m., if there are still people in the queue, the voting will continue till everyone has voted.
Well, many thanks to you, Albert. Sorry, we'll be coming to you later in that you need to check whether there is an update. Now, let's get onto the other phone line because Ernest Yeboah is on the line from the CPP camp. Good evening, Ernest. Thanks for your time.
Well, good evening to you, Aisha.
We've heard complaints from the NPP that the EC is mind their efforts to win the elections. They've accused the police of being biased and all of that. We've also had accusation of vote buying from both NDC and NPP. Have you also had any cause to complain in the preparations towards the by-elections?
Once again, thank you very much, and good evening to you and to your wonderful viewers. I think I was listening to your reporter, and some corrections would have to be made.
Okay.
the truth of the matter is that people are definite on voting for the PNC candidate.
Right.
And some are, at 6 and 7 as to whether they would want to vote for the MPP or the NDC. It is not the other way around, that people are definite in voting MPP or NDC and are undecided in voting
for the other
the PNC.
parties.
Exactly. And then the description that the PNC and the CPP and other parties are smaller parties is also a false impression.
Okay.
We are not smaller parties. What we are other parties.
Okay.
To suggest that we are smaller parties is to make the point that Ghanaians would never change their mind. Yet, the only reason or basis for that kind of assertion is simply because of the electoral results in year 2012.
Right.
We are going to enter into another electoral season, and Ghanaians are bound to change their mind.
Right.
If you come here at, Talensi, the vast majority of the people are simply sick and tired of the MPP and the NDC. They feel very much disappointed, let down in several ways. You have a situation where, the people here, majority, have to go through the difficulty of sharing water with animals. They have a situation where the vast majority of the constituency in terms of its roads network are almost non-existent. We have not a single secondary school here for more than 30 solid years of the MPP and the NDC.
Right.
So people are totally disappointed, and this time around want to make a strong statement to the world that they do not want a part of the MPP or the NDC any longer.
Correction well made, Ernest. Beyond that, have you had any cause to complain about preparations towards this Talensi elections?
Well, we have had absolutely no cause to complain about how things are being handled, especially because we are working hand in hand with the people. And in fact, you have a situation where even chiefs, and we know what our constitutions say when it comes to their participation in partisan politics, where chiefs are even the ones directing and helping us to, as it were, get their people to vote for us.
Right.
You meet a chief and the chief tells you that when you come, we need water. They are definite in their mind, and they are not twisted in that. So the Convention People's Party, just like you may have heard some weeks ago, did not file did not file for the seat, and decided to, as it were, support the PNC candidate. We are the only political party that is doing so, and it's being led by Samia Yaba Nkrumah, the chairman and leader of the party. We have visited many of the communities today in our house-to-house campaign, and our message is very much well received. So tomorrow, by this time, in fact, by about an hour or two's time, the only name that we expect to be hearing is Dr. Michael Obiongo Namalton.
And so you've not had any problem with the EC, nor the police, nor anybody at the grounds like the NPP is having?
Absolutely no problem with them. Because
so let's look at this accusation between the NPP and the NDC. In your house-to-house campaign, have you heard anything? Has anything eavesdropped that, these two parties are trying to buy votes?
Oh, most certainly. And the people are very much aware that this is what happens during every election year. And very much the point, they feel so insulted by that kind of attitude exhibited by the MPP and the NDC. A few days ago, we probably saw on social network how they had begun resorting to rituals, burying pigs, burying, lizards, burying cockerels, burying almost anything that they could lay their hands on, taking off their shirts, going naked, and trying to appease some gods and all that. It is all part of a process of engineering a certain mentality so that at least the people can have their mind fixated on them. But unfortunately, none of these are working. It's rather getting people angry. Just yesterday, when they were holding their rallies, where they had passed people from other communities outside Talensi to their rallies, the residents of, Talensi, were engaged in massive protestations against, what they felt was a raw deal by the MPP and the NDC. With some of their signposts reading, no roads, no vote, no water, no vote, no school, no vote, no. So the people want to project that message out there,
Well,
and nothing is going to stop them.
Well, many thanks to Ernesto. Well, wish you all the best in tomorrow's elections. On the other line is the political scientist, Dr. Pokwedu. Good evening. We appreciate your time on today's big story.
Yeah, good evening.
There have been accusations of vote buying and partiality on the part of the police and the Electoral Commission. Can this in any way affect the smoothness of the election?
Hello?
Yes, Dr. Pokwedu.
Yeah, there's so much noise. I think some phone is...
Okay, let me try and speak a bit louder. I was saying that they're having accusations of vote buying, and there have also been accusation or accusation on the part of police and Electoral Commission being partial. Can this in any way affect the smoothness of the election?
Well, yes, they can, even though one would want to see a very smooth election. This is one election that has everything at stake, for both the two leading parties, the MPP and the NDC. So, the accusations on each of them, especially against the police and the Electoral Commission, can, if not well managed, affect the smoothness of the elections. I'm not surprised anyway because, as I said, a lot is at stake in this election.
We all know the history of Talensi, the Talensi seat in particular. It used to be perceived NDC stronghold, yet the NPP took over. Now to by-elections and the campaign has been very massive. What are the chances of all the four parties or all the major parties involved in this election?
Well, first of all, let me say that what I'm going to say is not based on any study I've done. It's my own personal interpretation of things.
Right.
Yes, it was an NDC safe seat since Ghana democratized in 1992. But in 2012, it became a swing constituency when the MPP was able to snatch it from the NDC. Now, the problem is that, historically and also globally, anytime there is mid-term elections, incumbent parties have suffered.
Right.
And what is going to happen tomorrow is more or less a midterm election. So, having taken the seat from the NDC and with the NDC in power, having all the challenges, the economy and the power, unemployment, the city and all that, one would say that the odds, favor the MPP. That is if history is anything to go by. However, the NDC can will organize its support base there and win, because after all, it was one of its safe seats for some time. I suspect it's going to be too close to call tomorrow. It will be neck and neck, because those people who voted for the MPP in the last elections, especially those from the NDC who might have voted for the MPP in the last election, wouldn't have any reason today to change their minds. And if they do at all, some will still vote for the MPP. So it will be a very close vote. It will be neck and neck. And from the historical and global perspectives, I expect the MPP to win by a very narrow margin.
There are fears also that electoral violence, from the way all the four parties are aggressively trying to grab power at Talensi, there are fears that there could be violence at this election. How can we avoid this?
Well, I think much will depend on the Electoral Commission and the police and also the political parties themselves. If people come to vote, they should go home and probably return at 5 or 6 when the announcement will be made. So all the parties should let their supporters know that once you vote, you should leave the place. Or if you want to be around, stay far off. And I'm sure by now, people in the localities are aware that from 6 to 6, there wouldn't be the sale of alcohol and so on. So if the police presence is there, the electoral commission is there, and the parties cooperate, you can avoid conflict and chaos in this election.
In just 12 hours, we will be going to the polls. What should be our guide? I mean, the electorates, the political parties, the EC officials, and of course the police and the candidates themselves. What should be our guide?
Well, the advice is that we should adhere to the rules. Ghana is being watched. Already we've got some credentials, that are very, positive. And so everybody is watching us. And everybody must, stay within the law and the rules. The police must be fair. The electoral commission must be fair, and the people must decide fairly. I understand that no verification, no vote is going to be applied. If that is the case, they'll have to make sure that it is well done, nobody is discriminated against, and nobody becomes disenfranchised, for no fault of theirs. So the way out is to play to the rules, and I'm sure if all the stakeholders, the police, the electoral commission, the political parties, and the supporters all agree to go by the rules, there'll be peace. So everybody should have the word peace at the back of their minds as they go out to vote tomorrow.
There are people who feel that this no verification, no vote issue is not fair, because if, for instance, somebody is a farmer and for some reason the machine cannot identify their fingers or something, then it means that they've been denied votes. You feel it's a genuine argument?
Yeah, I think there's a problem. There's a problem with no vote, no verification. Unfortunately, that's what we all agreed on in 2012, and that's what the Supreme Court also, considered very carefully, and that's what they're going to do tomorrow. But I think that if a person tries for the first time and the machine fails to recognize the person, he may not, or he or she should not be driven away. You should give him some time. Probably their fingers are wet and so on and so forth. There are all kinds of things that can affect the machine's recognition of one's identity. So we have to take time, people have to be patient and go through. But I do agree with those who make that argument, that it's quite possible for a number of reasons that, for the machine to refuse to recognize a genuine voter. And it is not fair to disenfranchise anybody through no fault of theirs. So, but as I said, we can do very little about it at this stage. We have all accepted that no vote, no
verification, no vote.
That's right. And so that's what is going to happen. But they must do that with some human face. I mean, you just don't grab the person away if the machine for the first time fails to recognize the person, especially when there are people around from all the parties who may say that, well, this is, yes, Mr. X or Madam B. And so a second, third chance might do the trick. So it's a question of being patient, and people doing things openly and fairly. And if that happens, then I'm sure we're going to have a very peaceful, smooth election tomorrow. And by 6, all of us, there'll be no loser. Ghana will be the winner because, as I said, everybody's watching what is happening here.
Indeed, Ghana will be the winner. We're extremely grateful to you, Dr. Opoku-Edu. He's a political scientist with the University of Ghana. We're still talking the Talensi Bye Election, which is less than 24 hours to happen. We're looking at some of the issues that have been raised by the parties, especially the NPP. We're looking at vote buying, accusation of Electoral Commission being unfair or being biased, the police also being biased, and we're also looking at general preparation towards the election. And we've had some fantastic comments, which is assuring us that there will be smooth election in Talensi. My name is Talensi Bye. This is today's big story. We'll be back shortly with Joy News Interactive.